Greetings, Loathers. You are listening now to the Gene Ray interview by Primavera Angel here, myself, recorded on Saturday, April 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The first few minutes of the show were sadly lost, but thankfully contained nothing vital to the interview. Opening music of Power Doodler by Sean Mull, an introductory statement by myself, which I will reiterate in a few moments, and a brief discussion about Gene Ray's upcoming lecture on the 14th, 5 days from this interview, at Georgia Tech, which he is deemed the mother of all lectures. The recording cuts in during that discussion about his upcoming lecture and past lectures, and moves on almost immediately to the heart of the matter. After the interview, questions were taken, and once he was off the air, fellow DJs 305, Brian, and Inari were Skyped in for what has been aptly dubbed the aftermath. Here now was my opening statement, followed by the interview itself. Enjoy. We are going to be talking here today with Gene Ray, a retired master electrician from Florida, an inventor with several patented items, author of Mr. Marbles, Marbles for Everyone, and, most importantly for this interview, cubic and self-proclaimed wisest human, creator of the controversial time cube theories and sight. Enjoy what follows. The rest of the interview will begin in a couple of moments here, breaking in during the discussion about his lectures. A final word, please keep in mind that opinions expressed by Mr. Ray do not necessarily reflect myself or Radio KOL, in many cases definitely do not. Right. And a lot of people are looking forward to that.
Yeah, I hope the place is probably crowded. We had 500 students at MIT, and this one they have a room for 250. I'm afraid it's going to be overcrowded, but that's good for it, too.
Okay. I want to begin with, really quickly, a little bit of background. I know that you started out originally with another theory, with some people call it your Marbles period, correct?
The Marbles period? Yeah. I have a trademark service mark on Mr. Marbles, and that's a game that the kids used to play. It was a learning process because they learned how to make their own rules up because there was no written rules, and they had to find a place. They learned how to barter and trade with each other, and they played without the parents' control. And it was a fantastic learning device. But then we got into other games and started fixing games so the kids don't have to think. You put the baseball on a pipe and let them hit it. And they no longer had to use their minds. They only had to follow the rules that the parents set for them. And if the game of marbles was played for money, it would be the greatest played game of skill in the world today. And because you could have an 8-year-old competing against an 8-year-old. We've had they have a national marbles tournament in Wildwood, New Jersey every year, and then they had the world tournament over in England, and where the American team went over there. 79, I think, and won the tournament. And so if they ever played for money, if you had one day, it'd probably take off. Like I say, it'll be the biggest played game of skill in the world.
Oh, yeah, and I understand that you originally you had a pyramid and circle idea, and what it was you wanted to hold $1 million marbles tournament to get everybody to come out and listen to your ideas then. But since...
Well, I don't remember... I know they played marbles back in pyramid times, and that should be a $1 million tournament. If you had a $1 million tournament, like I say, there'd be plenty of people to take it on, and one day, hopefully, I doubt if I had time for it, but I did incorporate it as the World Professional Marble Players Association, and we did have a tournament between two colleges in St. Petersburg, and that was, they had uniforms and cheerleaders. That was on national TV. And then I had an old-timers tournament on the city pier. The guy won that. His sister saw him on TV in Dayton, Ohio, and they hadn't seen or spoken to each other for over 30 years, and they got together after that. So they has had national presence.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. And as I remember, as I was saying, though, you apparently originally had a theory that some of your detractors point to, where you had it was against pyramids and 4 circles, and then eventually it progressed into the cubic model. And I know some people say that it doesn't make sense that it went from circles to cubes. What do you have to say to them, though?
Well, if they talk about the equator of the time is a square, but anyhow whether it's circle. To square the circle, you just draw a line on a sheet of paper. It has 4 corners to it. Represents midday, opposite midnight, and then sun up and sundown. Those are 4 corners of time. So you draw a circle in there, Then you draw a line across the four corners, and that divides the hemisphere up into four corner quadrants, and kind of like a pie. And that's as far as you can divide it. All further divisions occur in one of those corners. Just like if you put 100 people in a four-corner room, cubic-like room, all of them exist within one of the four corners. Just like the Earth has four corners, four-corner quadrants, and all 6 billion people on Earth exist within one of the four-corner quadrants.
Okay. And
but you have to have a sphere. Okay. The square and the circle has to do with the equator, with the plane. But in order to you have to use the cube is relative to the sphere, and so you have to have a cube to encompass the 2 poles. So where the square and the circle relate to the equator, the sphere, you have to have a sphere to encompass the 2 poles.
Okay, and that did bring up another question of mine, because I know you talk about the 4 faces of the cube, but what about those are the 4 horizontal ones? What about the 2 vertical ones? Or is it largely there so it can encompass the sphere?
Well, you have 2 of the meridians. Actually, the meridians is a full circle. It goes through both poles and crosses the equator twice. And from the North Pole, the 4 units will be going to your right, and above the South Pole, they'll be going in an opposite direction. And actually, that's how planets are created. That 2 halves. 2 hemispheres rub in opposite directions. I have a NASA picture that shows a ring of molten lava around the equator of a planet. Look at it closer. The top part of the lava is moving in one direction. The bottom part is moving in the opposite direction. And that's how planets are created.
And this is part of your ideas about how opposites are needed to create anything, correct?
Right. Everything in the universe is composed of opposites with a 0 value. And they only exist as opposites. As an entity, they like plus and minus, they cancel out and don't exist. But all existence is through opposites. Like the Earth is not an entity because you have 2 opposite hemispheres. They really rotate in opposite direction. That's the only way it exists as opposites. You put the 2 of them together and they cancel out. And the humans all exist between the 2 opposites of femininity and masculinity. All humans are created between those 2 opposites. And we only exist as opposites. As an entity, we cancel out and don't exist. The whole universe is composed of opposites with a 0 value.
Okay. And so basically everything does have its opposite in order to exist at all. Nothing exists without, according to this.
Right, and truth is opposite. No human or God can speak truth because it has an opposite.
Falsehood.
And so you can't speak truth, and you can only speak from one perspective. The time cube is kind of like a 4-corner classroom. It represents the 4 corners of Earth, but they only teach one corner knowledge. They're teaching stupidity.
Which corner do they teach?
Where they don't teach the one corner, singularity. Just like a lot of people, they're trying to teach, create a one world government.
Okay,
they're trying to make the self the more important. The self is the lowest form of humanity because it cannot procreate alone. It's the family that's the creation body, but it's not the true body because it doesn't marry. The village is the true body because it has multi-families with a near equal number of both sexes of all ages. But we destroy the villages. And the communities that we have are the cells of the government filled with strangers who don't give a damn about anything.
Okay, and yet you basically, I've talked about this before, you advocate basically a return in a way to the old way where, you have the community, you have the small, as you said, it takes a village to raise a child. And you do have, that old community sometimes in smaller towns. That's actually why I've lived in smaller towns and cities, and I do prefer smaller towns where people know each other. I admit that.
But that's right. That's right, and that's why they have no morality. The day you touch a child, I lived in an apartment building, and a kid was breaking into the mailboxes, and then the manager took him over to the police station, and the chief told him, he said, I'll arrest you for touching the child. They're government children. I mean, there's no cowbird, great big old bird, goes around and lays eggs in a smaller bird's nest with other small eggs, and the little baby bird, mother bird, she sits on it and hatches it out. And then the big baby bird hatches first, and it rakes all the other eggs out, or the little hatchings out, and the little baby mother, she keeps raising this big baby thinking it's hers, and we are the same way. We give birth to children, we raise them when they're 6 years old. The government takes them and makes them government children. And most of them never go back home and never go back to the village.
And how do they do that?
How do they do that?
How do they do that for listeners? How do they do that? How do they make them government children?
Well, they teach them the self. They make the self more important than the family. Make the self more important than the community, and the singularity, the individualism, and it's like I say, the self is the lowest form. But they make it through education. They make it more important than the family or the community.
So it's largely from the schools, you're saying, basically.
Well, that's right. The pedants, they're hired. The school teachers are pedants hired by the state to brainwash the kids. And so if you say anything to your own kids, they could, or even spank one of them. The government can lock you up for it. They're government kids, and they become government minds, and they serve the government, and they no longer they go off and leave the family and leave the village.
Okay, and I can agree with that too. I do, that it is sad often that you don't have that communication anymore between people. You don't have that sense of community. Some people still do. You have still people who have the large extended families. You have large parts of the world where you do have villages that grow up together and so on. But even then, I know there is a tendency these days for people to leave the village, as you said, to leave home, and you see it. It's a common theme in our literature, in our movies. The person leaving home to go out into the world.
Well, that's right. But it's actually we don't know how to control the village, because we have little girls today wanting babies just to treat them like dolls. We have no limitations. You should, if you divide the ages up, like you should be like 24 years of age to have a child, because that's 24. And then you got parenthood is 24, and then the grandparent 24, and then the great grandparent 24. That's the 96 has to do with the cube.
And that's the cycle again, the four corners, right?
Yeah. And so you shouldn't have children until you're 24. By that time you have a job and you become experienced, and you're not likely to have children just for the hell of it. And so that would slow down our birth rate if we delayed the children until you become an experienced person, like at the age of 24.
And how many children is appropriate, do you think?
Well, if you had too many, had them out of wedlock or something, you could give them to a couple that didn't have children, that couldn't have children or something. But there should be a limitation, like China has a limitation on the kids over there. But we don't have any limitation. We just let little kids today have babies, and the government, the state supports them.
Okay.
And so if they cut out the sports, you wouldn't have so many kids. And the poor people, it's just like all prior civilizations have been overthrown by the minority. And the poorest people are going to have these babies, more and more babies. And one day the minority outgrows the majority, and they take over. And this country today, it's been taken over, and I think it'll become a black nation in time. And then, of course, they can't stand up to the Asian nation. I think it'll be an Asian nation. So then it'll be it'll be a red nation, a white nation, and a black nation, and an Asian nation. Go around the four corners.
Well, there is a theory that eventually we all are going to intermix, that we all are going to be, as we grow, as the world becomes smaller, basically, because there's so many of us, that we're all going to be.
Well, the world's not becoming smaller. We're just becoming big. Now, many animals, like the little, I'm trying to think of one in Sweden and Norway, the little mice, they swim, when they overgrow their food supply, they swim out in mass out in the ocean and drown themselves to limit their population. And some of the gazelles and animals in Africa, when they overgrow, what they do, they'll swim back and forth across the river until a great many of them die and reduce their population. But humans have no, they can't handle something like that. I guess they need more war or something. But
or we should just have them all swim a great distance, and that would do it too.
Yeah. Well, now that's another thing. We made this like this atomic bomb thing, and we sold it to everybody in Russia, and we even had Harvard graduates who were working on it. They gave the thing to Russia and the plans on it, and now now North Korea has it, and one day it'll be used against us. And it'd been better off, like if Japan had used the atomic bomb on us, and we'd had brand new cities. But now they have brand new cities, and we have all this about 80,000 tons of nuclear waste we got to bury as a gift to our children. And that can, wherever they put it, it can leak. They found out the place out in Nevada, the scientists had lied about the seepage, and the waters had gotten in there. And so I think they're going to have to abandon that idea. But the scientists had lied about it. And now they found out about that, and so they're trying to build a new place out about 100 miles of L.A. But, that thing ought to be a monument wherever they put that, all that nuclear poison. It should be a monument to academia, because that's one of their big achievements, creating that nuclear waste. And according to the Time Cube, everything has an opposite. And if they would create an opposite polarity or whatever to that nuclear waste, they could cancel them out. But some of the scientists have been interested in that, but I haven't heard anything about it. But you could, by creating an opposite, you could neutralize it.
Okay. Well, you talked about the four corners of learning before. What are they?
The four corners of what now?
Well, you talked about they only teach the one corner, the singularity. What are the four that they should be teaching? Just the cube in general?
Well, the Time Cube, the cube is the most perfect form of opposite symmetry within a universe. For every corner has an opposite. For every two, every three, every four, it has an opposite. It's the most perfect form of opposite symmetry within a universe. And the Earth rotates it inside of it. And if, like I say, you cross it and it divides Earth into each hemisphere into four quarters like a pie. And each one of them has their own separate day. Midday to midday is like a light race day, sundown to Asian, midnight to black, and sunup to Indian. And that's the four primary races. And then as they rotate, they create the four stages of the baby, child, parent, and grandparent. And
okay. And which are you right now? Because I don't think a lot of our listeners know.
Well, I've got children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, so I'm on my fourth corner. I'm on my last corner.
Okay.
And so I'm like the dead speaking, so voice of the dead. So I've already lived. I'm 77, so I've already lived a full lifetime.
And you're not going to see any other generations because you're already on your fourth corner, correct?
Yeah, and so yeah, it's the fourth corner. As far as I go around, I won't see my great grandchildren have children.
Okay, and basically those are the four corners, and everything relates to that.
Well, just about you go around. You're not a human entity. Because the four corners of baby, child, parent, grandparent do not occur at the same time. You're not a human entity. You're actually a cubic, which is the family. You go around the four corners of the family in a lifetime. These four corners do not occur at the same time.
So basically, each generation is a corner of that cube. I'm trying to think. Yeah, each corner, because you have baby, child, parent, grandparent as you rotate that. And that's the reason you have to be in the village, because the one family may not have children, it may just have one sex. So that's the reason you have to have a village that has multi-family, but the village has a near equal number of both sexes of all ages. That's the true body. Okay. And so, now, I wanted to ask you really quickly about the Time Cube itself. Yep. What you were going to be talking about proof you had that it is better than the Singularity Day, and I know a lot of places don't want to have you lecture there because you said that they don't want to take up the challenge. You do have a $10,000 challenge that they cannot disprove you, correct?
For any academic institution and professors, $10,000 to disprove it. I've had that out there for years. When I was at MIT, I had $500 cash in my hand on the podium there and offer it to any academic, any professor would come down and explain the time cube or disprove it, and none of them showed up. They cannot allow the time cube to be known. It's what you call obscurantism. It's deliberately withheld knowledge.
Okay, and that's a large reason why you deem yourself wisest human. It's a challenge to them, basically, to come out and...
it's a challenge to them. And so I bestowed that doctorate of cubicism upon myself because academia knows nothing about it. And so I just bestowed it up to give the time cube more credibility and everything. So nobody else knows enough about it, so I just bestowed it upon myself.
So what now? If you're wisest human and you're a doctor of cubism, what if somebody else takes up this path? Would they too become like yourself, a wisest human, and could they gain a doctorate of cubism?
They can't become wiser, probably, but they can become as wise. They can become a cubic. The main thing, the wisdom is actually the cubic testing of measure of knowledge. Now, most knowledge is on the negative side of ignorance. If you got a straight line, on one side you've got wisdom, and on the other side you have knowledge. But that knowledge is being taught wrong, like singularity. In fact, you've got to forget what you've done and come back to ignorance before you can understand the time cube, for the cubic.
Well, that's a very Zen position, actually, where you have to unlearn, forget what you've known in order to learn what there is.
That's right, but that's what we got. That's what they have to do, because with the knowledge they've been taught and the singularity, they can't comprehend the time cube. It's very simple to recognize that there's 24 midday to midday, 24 hours. Sundown, 24 hours, midnight, 24 hours, sun up, 24 hours. That is a simple mathematics. But the educated cannot comprehend it. Now, I can talk to a guy for an hour, and he'll agree with everything I say. But at the end, he says, "But I believe in God, and I can't accept it." They cannot accept the truth. And
so you think it's religious based, or is it academic based?
Well, it's all together. They teach religion in schools, and they teach singularity. Singularity is just like you might say the Greenwich Day is satanic. They have 3 other days. That's just not one day. They have 4 days. God creates a single day. I've proved absolute proof. They have 4 first days. And every lecture, I have a chair there for God, but he don't come because he's embarrassed because he's only got 1 day.
I can understand that, yeah. And
religion is what we carry on as ancient ignorance. It's ancient ignorance. It's what it's all about. And in fact, the Bible says there's a word, and the word turns to God, and we have the God they worship is only word, and the humans are word animals. And they've created a word world. It's all fictitious today.
Okay, yes, this is one of your primary points I've noticed, is that the word God, you're against words because words can be disproved, words can be changed.
Words have no inherent value. They represent values, but they're all fictitious. If you put and they say that the God is in the Bible. If you put the Bible in a box, you got a God in the box, like a Jack in the box, because he exists no place else except in the Bible, in the word of that Bible.
Okay, and basically then what you're saying was what you're saying that I remember a specific story you have in there about the dog. If a dog could speak, it could take over the world.
I didn't hear that one.
You had a story on your site about how, if a dog could speak, a dog could take over the world because the dog had word.
Yeah, they worship, because if we look at it now, they go out and you get an oil stain on a big plate glass, and they go out and worship it as Mary or something, Mother Mary or something of that nature, and they worship any shadow or spill some paint on the floor, and it looks like a human. They go out and worship that, and they worship all this crap. It's ancient ignorance that they still bring forth today, because they are too dumb, too stupid to recognize the time cube.
Is there
self-destructive.
Is there anything that humans should worship, or is it?
No, that's not. They should honor the village, and they should honor the time cube, and they should adhere to the time cube principle, which is a family, which is a village. They should adhere to that. The one world government is satanic. The singularity is satanic. And Einstein's talking about the linear time it's kind of like drifting down a party boat drifting down the river. And you go out there to wave at them and say it's a 100-foot waterfall a mile down the river. And they just wave back and have party and keep going down. And that's what this science is doing. It's every society we've ever had it's gone down the tubes. And this one also is a sinking ship. We destroyed over 90% of our prime forest in this country. And they've cut down a variety of, like tomatoes, maybe 1,100 varieties of that, or corn, and they've cut it down to 2 or 3 varieties so that the big corporations can control it. Now, that's what happened to the Irish potato famine. They only had one, and the disease hit it, and it destroyed all of it. And that's where you need these varieties, because the same disease won't affect all of them.
I entirely agree that variety is a very good thing. You know, if you don't, a lack of variety really hurts you in the long run, and it not only takes away possibilities, potential, but it just narrows things down. All that variety, I think that's a very good point right there, actually.
Yeah, it was an African group over there that had corn, a special variety of corn. They kept the best corn for the seed every year. And this big corn conglomerate, grain conglomerate, they went over there, and they took it, and now they sell seed. They control corn all over the world, and they can sell it to the natives cheaper than the natives can plant it. But they even got patents on that corn that the natives had developed all this time. Now the natives can't even plant their own corn. So the big corporations got the patents on it.
Oh, I did not know that. And
and it's a whole screwed up thing, and so that's what. I mean, I've gotten patents, and I put on. I've organized civil patent seminars, invention seminars, and I've organized civil defense. I've organized Union Chamber of Commerce and all that kind of stuff. And just to show you some of the things, I even ran out of gas down in Florida one time in Ocala, and so the guy wouldn't take my check. And I called up. I said, "Doesn't the governor live here?" And he said, "Yes." So I called up the governor. I told him the guy wouldn't take my check. So the governor said, "Let me talk to him." He told the guy at the station to cash my check. Of course, I was the governor's campaign manager in North Miami.
You were? So, I did not know that.
So, and
the current governor?
And so, no, the governor. I'm trying to think. Governor Bryant. Yeah, and so. Yeah, I used to be in all kinds of organization things, and the Junior Chamber of Commerce was a fantastic group, and so I've done things like that. I've saved people from drowning. I've been on Admiral Byrd spent a night aboard the ship when we were in Nagasaki taking the prisoner of war out, and I done electrical work on the Orange Bowl, the Hollyhill Racetrack, the Skyway Bridge, nuclear plants, power plants, and all this kind of stuff. So I was always pretty good in math.
Yeah, I noticed you were a master electrician. And you had some inventions too, actually.
Yeah, and I don't have time for inventions because this is more important than anything else.
Okay, but it seems like you've really gotten around. You have a lot of experience in a lot of various areas, and that's really helped you develop the time cube. It sounds like, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's the greatest social and scientific discovery of humanity. And it will change everything that we've ever been taught. Right now, we headed down to this singularity crap. I mean, I go into church and talk to a preacher, and he'll throw a book down on the desk and say, "It's in the book." Well, the book, it says heavens in Genesis 1, 6, 7, and 8. It says he created the firmament between the waters and the clouds, and the waters and the ground, the two waters, and he called it heaven. And then he created birds to fly in the firmament and called it heaven. That's where we are. We in the Garden of Eden, and we're destroying it. And the Christians say there's a better place somewhere else. So it's really not immoral to kill the Christians because they will be enriched upon their death.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's against the law, but it's immoral. I mean, morally, they're going to go a better place and it'll save Earth.
Well, wouldn't it be better to try and convince them of the truth of the time cube?
Well, you can't change them. They have no mentality. They've sold it out. They can't think of this. They cannot accept this.
Okay.
And so you got now way to change a new age group. They go outside of the city limits and build their own village. what they don't realize is the big dragon will spread and overtake them, devour them. And so what you have to do to attack the dragon, you have to attack it at the heart. Kind of like I do. I don't get out of education and try to attack it outside. I go inside and attack the heart.
Huh?
See, that's what I'm doing. And the same way now to attack a religion, I had to organize Time Cube as a religion, so that they're giving me publicity with right now the papers won't even print anything about the Time Cube. They said people would quit taking our paper. And so I had a freelance reporter at MIT. He submitted 2 stories to his regular paper, and they wouldn't print it. And so that's the reason to change religion. I had to organize the Time Cube as a cubic creation. Mm-hmm. Then I can get into the religious circle and then show them and compare them, and then that will get rid of the others. And you got over 2,000 different religions, and they are wrong because there can only be one. And so, in a sense, since there's no one standing out, they're all wrong. The only one it can be is cubic creation. Everything is cubic.
Everything's cubic. How was everything created then in the cubic creation? That's what I'm interested in.
Well, everything is created as a positive, 2 opposites. Everything in the universe is composed of opposites.
Okay. So,
and that's the only way that a plus and a minus. That's the only way it can come from. And the scientists are looking for this causation and the effect, the cause and effect. Actually, the straight line on the heart monitor is like a seesaw, and if you put a line on it and put the male and female on opposite ends of this pivot point there, as one goes down, the other one goes up, and that's the seesaw. That is a causation. And the effect of creation is the positive and the negative. It not only creates you have a positive and negative in the male, but you have the positive and negative in the female. The 2 opposites as they go up and down. It's like a seesaw on a pivot point.
Well, you even have those in atoms. In elements, you have protons and electrons, positive and negative.
Yeah, well, so atoms have a vertical axis. Not a vertical axis, but they have an axis, what you call a cubium, C-U-B-I-U-M. Now, we teach that the axis tilt is 23.45, right? But
yes.
Actually, the northern hemisphere has a plus and minus tilt. The southern hemisphere has a minus and plus tilt. And so if you add the 4 together, then they equal 0, which gives you a perfect vertical earth axis. It represents the perfection of death. Because the life is based on the imperfections to give you seasons. The perfection would have no seasons, therefore no life. So life is based on the imperfection of the tilt. But actually there are 4 tilts. And so they're kind of like the straight line on the heart monitor. That's the perfection of death. Life is the oscillation of the imperfection.
Oh, so basically you are saying you need those opposites, because otherwise you can't have anything. It just all be.
We only exist as opposites. Without opposites, there would be nothing. In other words, we have something and nothing, and something is opposites, and nothing is when you put them together and they cancel out.
Okay, so it's like dark and light, hot and cold.
Yeah, that's right. And
truth
then
and
you have
falsehood.
the other two opposites in between, the cool and warm, or the spring and fall. So you had the 2 majors, then the 2 minors.
Winter and summer too. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but like I say, the planets are created by the 2 halves rotating in different directions, and everything.
The top half and the bottom half, right?
What's that?
The top half and the bottom half.
Yeah, and it's just like male and female. They're totally opposites, but that's the only way they exist. As an entity, they cancel out. As an opposite, they exist. In other words, the opposites is something. Together, they're nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I think that many of our people get this right now. Is there anything else that you basically are working on right now? I mean, I know you have the opposites, which is one of your more recent theories, and you said that you said that you have now proof that you're going to be giving at your big lecture as to the time cube to pull everything together.
The proof is in the discovery. If you can't know the discovery, there's no way you can recognize the proof.
Oh.
I mean, that's a scientific claim. I mean, the theories today, you know what theories are? They're assumptions that are accepted. They're not truth. They're not proofs. They're only exceptions. I mean, they're only
assumptions.
Yeah, and that's all they are. There's no proof in them. But this time cube thing is a principle that's within you and nature and everything.
A law.
Yeah, and it's the moon goes around. I mean, it's stationed out there. It has no tether on it, no rope, line, cable. It's out there by a principle. And we can, by going to these different planets, we can upset that principle. So it exists out there by principle because physically it's not connected. It's only through this principle.
And how can we upset this principle?
Well, because you can go out there and imbalance it, because it's imbalanced. It's balanced through a principle. And you can do something with explosion on one of the planets or something, throw it out of kilter, and it'll cause the whole system, the whole solar system, to collapse. And another thing, I guess Earth rotates. Galileo talking about the Earth with the sun the sun with the center of the solar system or the universe, but actually it's a binary system because the Earth rotates as it goes around the sun, and the sun rotates around Earth because due to the fact that the four corners of Earth rotate at a spiraling quadrant helix, spiraling chord helix. Therefore, each season has its own separate year. And one orbit of Earth around the sun. If you look at it closer, there are four corners, put Earth in four positions around the sun, and one of them represents summer and winter, spring and fall. And it's just through this, it's nothing you cannot know. But people educated can't understand it.
Okay. Was that you? I just got a beep on there.
No, it wasn't me.
That was odd. Okay.
It might be the government tapping in on my line.
Well, let's hope not.
It's a wonder I'm still alive. I ain't getting death threats from NASA. They said, shut your flight down. Say you're rocking the boat. Say people can't understand it. They can't understand it because they never have been allowed to know it.
From NASA?
That's right. Yeah.
Huh.
And I get death threats all the time.
I wouldn't think it was that frequent. Who else sent you death threats? I mean.
Well, there's a lot of religious people. You just don't know. I was talking to a fellow here on the boat, one of the boats the other day, and he was a retired pianist, and he was very religious, and we were kind of discussing the time cube and everything, and his wife was a Jehovah's Witness, and she got upset and took the books and left him. And so it's people that are so mentally tied up, and they cannot comprehend. You cannot even discuss anything with them. That they're brain damaged. It's brain education is brainwashing and indoctrination. It teaches singularity.
Yes, I remember you have a phrase for that: educated stupid, correct?
Yeah, that's what, and they're too dumb to know it.
Okay, and you were saying that basically students should rise up and encourage their educators, their professors, their teachers to listen to Time Cube and teach it.
Research the Time Cube. They cannot, educators can, I call educators stupid and evil, and they cannot even deny it, but they would create debate and they'd be exposed. Only their power is to ignore it. That's their power. It's their secret, and it's to ignore it. They cannot discuss it. They will not. The students have no the freedom of speech to discuss or debate the Time Cube. They'll kick them out of school. I get emails all the time from college students. So I've just elected president of the student body, and we're going to debate the Time Cube come hell or high water. I never hear from them. They'll threaten to be kicked out of school and everything. Education cannot allow the cube to be known.
So so basically, hasn't it been mostly students who have organized your lectures also?
Well, it's done through a student activity. Like the fellow in tech, he got this room, and he has no. The people don't even know what he got it for.
Oh.
Now they probably find out in the media what it's for, and he stand a good chance that he could get kicked out. But MIT was done by students allowed to put on a program of their own, and that's the reason they would put it on as a separate program.
And I remember you mentioned there's a place in Tennessee, I think, that wants you to come up, but they don't. Again, they can't get permission from the university.
Well, he's told me he probably won't be. I mean, Tennessee Tech sent me an email from there. But I get these kind of emails all the time wanting me to come to their schools and so forth. But most of the time they will not allow them to, the schools cannot allow the time cube to be on because it will expose the education is teaching this one corner.
Okay.
This one corner education. They teach them is brainwashing and indoctrination.
Okay, I understand. And that's basically what education is correct?
It's brainwashing and indoctrination. It teaches the power of the self, above the family, above the village. And it's self-destructive to humanity.
I know many could argue that is a very American thing, the individuality. I mean, it stands out above many other countries. I think it's partly because of the frontier experience, the manifest destiny, all of that, go out and conquer and be yourself and so on. I think it's probably more prevalent in the U.S. than anywhere else in the world, that individualism.
Yeah, it is, because that's what it's all for here. Because we're like integration. Integration is I call it a racial slop. It destroys both races, and they were raised. And normally, if you're enslaved and you're free, you go back home. But the blacks don't want to go back home. They in fact they don't want equality. What they want is dominance, and they want revenge. And you can see it in every place act up, and the government supports that by their I'm thinking what did the Germans do to the Hitler? They give them all this other stuff, and then they come back up and they give them more, and they come back and give them more. I'm trying to think what's appeasement. And see, that's what the racial thing in this country today is, appeasement. But anyhow, the Mexicans taking over out in the West, and then you got the blacks, and then you got the Asians coming in. But you go down to Miami today, you can't get a job unless you speak Spanish. And so, in other words, this country, you don't need guns to invade this country. You just come in and take stuff over and invade the country this way. And you can come in, get on all the Social Security, and I know Cuban people that come in here, some of them getting $1,500 a month to help them out, and even the American family in here don't get that much.
Huh. Okay. And so I can understand that. Okay. But I think a lot of people want to get back on the time cube because they're really interested in that, though. Are there any more revelations that you've had recently about the time cube?
Well, like I say, it's the most powerful form of opposite I'm trying not similarity of the perfection in the universe. The cube is, and if you put the one thing they're taught that the cube has a top and bottom. Inside your four-corner classroom or bedroom, which is cubic. They have top and bottoms. You clean the top and the bottom, like top of your head and the bottom of your feet. You have a front, back, and two sides. Everything is cubic. And
you mentioned that the head is cubic.
Yeah, well, the head has a corner nose, two ears, and a back, and between the top and bottom, it's cubic. And your body represents like four sides, but actually you have a pyramid. Like I say, we're personified pyramid forms, and it relates. And the humans didn't build the Great Pyramid. I think the force that built the oceans, the mountains, and lakes built the Great Pyramid as a sealed capsule of perfect measure. It has to do with a time cube. That when they first broke into it, it had no body in it. It was never a coffer.
Okay, so you're saying basically the pyramid is proof of the time cube because they were actually trying to preserve those measurements.
That's right. Yeah, it was a sealed unit. It had no body in it. It represents humans are personified pyramid forms, with the four cornerstones of the pyramid relating to your two palms and two soles of your feet, and each one of those with little fours representing the four corners of the cornerstone. It has to do with your grandparents and all this, and we need to, 96 is a perfect number, and where we use 100%. If we use 96% of the pyramid, of the cube, as our basic number of the full amount, the pi 3.14 would equal to a perfect 3.20, which would be a perfect pi.
A perfect pi.
And so all our math and science are erroneous. If you use the 3 dimensions inside your bedroom or four-corner classroom, it's erroneous math. It does not account for the fourth corner opposite perspective dimension.
Okay, and you mentioned that. Now you said that we're all. You said that we're cubic, and the pyramid.
Yeah, you can put 6 cubes inside of a pyramid, 2 from the bottom. 6 pyramids inside of a cube.
Inside of a cube, okay.
And 2 from the top and bottom, and 4 around the side. And the pyramid is not a triangle. It was truncated about halfway up, and then the apex is put on it, and then top of the apex has got a parallel top, which relates to the. That's like the quantum thing to the base, which is the relativity.
And I remember you said 96 is a big number. And I noticed that that's both 96 is 24 times 4, and that's, of course, you said there are 4 days in a day.
That's right. That's right.
And
so,
also it's
those numbers work out everywhere. And 96, you can turn it upside down just like you do there, and they're both the same configuration.
Oh yeah, very true. And you also said that 96, I noticed, is the age. You said have a child at 24, then you're 48, then. It's that progression of life too, according basically.
That's right. That's right. The 4 stages of life. Yeah.
Okay.
So so that seems to be the natural number there.
And it's basically the perfect number, 96.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I can understand that very well.
And the same upside down, whether you North Pole or South Pole. See, turn it upside down, they're the same.
And it's the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can understand that. I think we probably have covered most of the bases, unless there's anything else you wanted to get to.
No, I just think that they should be force more academic institutions, that they should demand that they teach the time cube to examine it and its values, because it's the greatest social and scientific discovery of humanity. It relates to all the races, the stages of races, and of the family, and it's nothing that you can't disprove. Oh, another thing, like a white woman and black woman are more genetically, they're genetically closer than a white woman to a white man or a black woman to a black man. Because men and women on totally opposite hemispheres.
So men and women are totally opposite because of.
That's right. But white men like midday and black men like midnight. And everything that happened, like you say, we're going to heaven. Like I told this black lady down St. Pete one day, I said, when you die, you're going to come back as a white person. I said, I'm going to come back as a black person. I'm going to hate you honkies.
Okay.
And so you come back as something, it's a continuum on earth. Is what
so
we do.
There's reincarnation.
Yeah, we don't go off as something. Now, you can come back to an animal. You can put a human mind into a tiger form, and he has to act like a tiger. And you can put anything you put the human mind in, he has to act like that form. If you put a God mind into a human, then he has the limitations of a human.
Okay, so if you put a human mind into a dog, he has the limitation of a dog.
That's right. That's right.
I can see that. So you're basically everything. It depends on what you come back as.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you can look at them, see the eyes. They have to live according to their environment. Every environment has a different character. Now, we don't come back as this coming from an ape and all that is a bunch of crap. Because you come in and the child, a child, like in science, you plant a seed and it grows a tree. But you can't create a child. You can't create a baby and it becomes an adult because it has to have nourishment.
Of course.
Which one is the first created? And so if you create a parent, that's wrong because that parent would know nothing about raising the baby. And so you have to create the grandparent, which has the knowledge of the past, raising the baby in the past. So it's the baby, child, parent, grandparent will all created at the same time that the baby is born.
Oh. Okay, I can see that.
So therefore, you have the scientific birth as regular as the spiritual birth.
So you're saying we all have multiple births as we grow older, as we move through the different cycles.
Yeah, but there is no grandparent, no parents, no child until the baby's born. Then they're all born. They all become those at the same time.
And I'm a parent myself, so I understand that.
Yeah, and so, another thing. Did you know your father was a fish?
No, I did not know my father.
You know how salmon swim upstream and the male fertilizes the female egg laid in the water?
Yes.
Little sperm fish swims upstream just like the salmon, fertilizes the female laid in the water.
Oh. Okay, I can understand. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Well, see, you understand, everybody can understand this, but the scientists can't, because they're controlled by religious academia. See, they're looking for singularity, and this singularity does not exist.
Because everything is dual.
Yeah, everything is cubic and opposite. Everything is cubic.
Cubic and opposite. So it's cubic and it's also dual.
Well, it's opposite corners of the cube. Yeah. And you've got a femininity cube and a masculinity cube, and life is a crapshoot. That's what it's all about.
So.
And it's always you're going 50% of this happening or not. It either why or why not. And
yeah, so you say life is a crapshoot, and of course those are dice, and dice are cubes, so it all comes back to that basically.
That's right. One's femininity and one's masculinity. All women are closer than they are to each other than they are to men.
All right,
men and women are totally opposites.
Now, how do you think you could get more universities to accept Time Cube and actually teach it?
It's going to be up to the students to demand it. And see, that's the place that's going to make the big changes when the students acknowledge it and accept the Time Cube. They are the ones that are going to force changes upon society, because like the Social Security is a pyramid scheme. Most kids won't get it.
Oh.
And see, it's going to be up to the children to correct the professors.
Mm-hmm.
And
what about when the children become the professors? What about when the children become the professors?
Well, they have to learn it before they become professors. They have to learn that they're being brainwashed and indoctrinated.
Okay, but I mean afterwards.
And that's what I'm trying to teach them.
Okay.
And so that they are being brainwashed and indoctrinated. They're being educated stupid.
So in a way, you're hoping to found in a way a university of Time Cube to teach Time Cube.
Yeah, they have to teach that, and in fact, that's more of a pattern that you follow. In fact, you're actually a cubic anyhow. You're created a cubic, but you've just been educated singularity. Oh. You're born a cubic.
Nature versus nurture.
And do what?
Nature versus nurture. You're born a cubic, but you're educated singularity.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you're born a cubic, but you've been taught singularity.
Okay.
So actually, the family has four corners, and each human goes around the four corners in a lifetime. Actually, you're not a human entity. Earth is not an entity.
We don't exist without an opposite.
Yeah, we're opposite corners. Opposite corners.
All right.
Everything on Earth exists between the two opposite poles, and all humans exist between two opposite sexes. And all humans are created between two opposite sexes. They're either male or female.
Okay, I can understand that. Are you ready possibly for some questions? Because I think we probably have hit most of the major points here.
Okay.
If anybody has any questions, please blue message me, Prima_Vera_Angel Hair, or ask them in chat, and I will ask them to Mr. Ray, and we will see if we can't get them answered. And did you know, while I'm waiting, because it takes them about a minute or so to hear what I just said. While I'm waiting on that, did you know that in this game they even have an item that's dedicated to you? It's called it's the boxed wine, and it's basically it's dedicated to the Time Cube.
That sounds good.
Yeah, because it's a perfect cube, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Marlo wants to know, with men and women being total opposites, what is your take on homosexuality?
Well, that's kind of a misfit And a lot of animals, you know, when they have give birth to a baby or something, it's not something wrong with it. They won't feed it and let it starve. The bad part about homosexuality, I had a younger brother, his queer partner killed him. And gay is a beautiful word, and I hate to see it wasted on a gay, because actually it's a queer thing, creation, and they shouldn't destroy this beautiful. They put the word gay to give them a little bit more, make them look better, but actually it's a queer situation. And I've had them write me, and I said you should go back in the closet, because actually it's the AIDS, it creates AIDS all over the world. Some of the tribes are just about every one of them's got AIDS, and it's destroying millions of people. And it all comes from this bad thing of the, like I say, call them queers. And so it's an unnatural creation, and it's very harmful to society.
Okay. And I have somebody else here. He's saying, did he explain what happens after the great-great-grandchild? He might have missed that, because, yes, he's basically asking, you know, you have the child, parent, grandparent, great-grandparent.
Yeah, according to the pyramid cornerstones, that's about as far as you go, and the 4 cornerstones, as far as you measure your ancestry. By then, because each man in his lineage, he marries a woman of a different one, and so in about 4 generations, you got your genes, they're all mixed up, and so they all disintegrate. So I don't know how this. I'm trying to think what the testing of the blood and everything in the cells, but it's almost totally dispensed. Devalued after about 4 generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
But can you have a great-great-grandchild? Because very few people do, but it's not frequent, I know. What happens when you have that?
Well, the time cube thing is a perfect thing, but there are variations of it. I mean, you know, a different, good and bad of it, and it's all a crapshoot. And you may have somebody that say they're supposed to live 96, they may live to 120. But it's an oddity which is beyond the norm of the 96, and you have a lot of people live a lot less than that, and so you have these imperfections of the cube, and the cube can be just imperfect, as imperfect as a human, and so when they're measuring the quantum theory, the atom particle, they said they can't measure the particles because they're so erratic. And so what they do, they measure a group of them. Well, humans are so erratic, you cannot measure a single human. You have to measure a village of humans to get their values.
Okay. Somebody else here wants to know, and I'm pretty certain I know the answer to this, actually. Basically, they want to know what your legacy is. What do you want your legacy to be? And I think I know the answer to that already.
Well, I'm a cubic. Well, I just want the time cube recognized, and to more people start recognizing and start making the academia to respond to the time cube, allowing children to understand it. And so that's the only thing that can save humanity, because the time cube is perpetual. It goes around like Earth. Earth is like a time gear. It bumps you up every day, and so it keeps rotating. It bumps you every day up, and like you die and you create a new life each day, and it bumps you up. It's like a gearbox, and it's perpetual. The humans are just they go around their full corner lifetime, and that's it. But your soul or whatever you leave is in your children. Like I have children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and that's what I've left behind me. And I hope they learning more about the time cube every day. But I got brothers and sisters. There's a lot of them are judges and head of education programs and everything, and they want nothing to do with the time cube.
Okay. I have somebody else who says, referring to the story about when that kid forced out from his teacher mother, the truth about the contract the teachers are forced to sign. How do you feel about that? This problem in our society? I'm not certain what she's saying, to be honest. Did you get that? Because I didn't exactly get that, actually.
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either. I think I'm going to go to a different question.
I didn't get your question you asked me on that.
Oh, well, I didn't understand the question either, so it's okay. I think they're talking about something about teacher-mother contract, but I didn't quite get it.
Okay. Well, a lot of the teachers, they sign contracts that they won't teach anything. It has to do with, a lot of the state has prints, labels inside of the books. If you teach anything it's against the Bible, it's unlawful.
Okay.
And the teachers sign a contract. In other words, they are pedants. They are hired to brainwash the kids by the government. And so they're hired pedants. That's what your teachers are. They're ignorant of the time cube. They've never known anything about the time cube.
All right. I do have somebody here. They want to know if there are 4 days in one day, wouldn't that cause an infinite amount of days in one day and break the universe? And I believe I know what the answer to this one is too. But go ahead.
I didn't get.
They're asking. They said if there are 4 days in one day, wouldn't that cause an infinite amount of days in one day and break the universe?
Well, it's not 4 days in one day. Earth has, if it's standing still, it has a midday, opposite midnight, or sundown. If it's standing still, each one of those corners represents. It rotates its own separate day. In other words, midday to midday is 24 hours. Sundown, 24. Midnight to midnight, 24. Sun, 24. But we only, no human or God can occupy or experience more than one corner at the same time. But 3 other people can be in the other 3 corners, and they experience their own separate day. We can only experience one up to 4 days, or we can only experience one of the corners. But actually, you go around the 4.
Okay. Another question somebody want to know is, do you think the government can help community, i.e. the village, in neutral ways? Not education, but assisting society, healthcare, so on.
Well, you're talking about the government? Yeah, well, I don't think, I don't have much hope for the government. That's another thing. If the people elect the politicians, and they think they own them, like the children. But the money owns your politicians and even other government. Like the Congress, they give Israel like millions or billions of dollars a year or whatever, and Israel has the biggest lobby in Washington. And so they go in there and vote these people back in. People don't own their politicians. It's the big money. And most of the and the environmental group and everything. It's all tokenism. You'd be better off without it, because they get this. You say something, they say we have this environment situation, but most of the people in charge of these programs up there, environmental, whether the CEOs from the companies that were destroying the environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I think this is kind of related, actually. I have another person. She wants to know, and I've actually talked to you about this, actually. Would you suggest homeschool as a way to avoid government brainwashing of children in school? And I remember you said that, yes, you were for homeschooling, correct?
Well, either homeschooling or it should be village schooling, and rather than where they're teaching people to be responsible. Now, you can't go out and touch a kid in your neighborhood today, and you can't do anything to them, and they can sass you. You can't touch them, and they're government children. And what you need to do is make village children. Everybody knows everybody, but it's hard to do within this transit society today. And so, but we don't have villages. We got except ones we have in the reservations. Mm-hmm. And the native Indians, the people here, in fact, this is an occupied country because you got the natives up there in the reservations. And so, but we need more either tribe or either village to where they raise their own people. And the children, like they go out and teach them all about nature. But we teach them how to make profit and how to destroy nature at the expense of nature. That's
true. I have somebody else. They want to know what your view is on Darwin's theory of evolution, where a scientist can prove, bacteria.
Well, it's been disproven because they have found no evidence between the skeletons between the two. It relates the two together, and actually every one of them is just a difference. I got pictures of the embryos of a turkey. Of a chicken and a turtle and a human. In the beginning, they all look alike. The human has a tail, and sometimes the human the tail stays on the human; it doesn't go off. And they almost alike. It's only a few things in the genes. But like I say, what stage does the human evolve from another animal? Because it doesn't start with a child, and it can't start with the adult. And so where does it start? There's no place that they can interrelate. If you get what I'm talking about.
Okay. I do. That same person also wanted to know if you have any belief in magic.
Well, that's a lot of magic tricks. I know that, but it's a lot of magic things, and it's a lot of. I think the sun coming up and shining, all think that's all magic, but
I can agree with that.
It's like I say, everything is kind of relative, and it's the there's a lot of ways magic can be. It depends on what you want, but everything you got a 50% chance of acting, of being or not being. And so, but a lot of things are faster than your eye, and it's a lot of tricks there. And well, like Social Security, that's a trick thing right there. It's played on the kids, and religion is something played on the kids. The God is like adult Santa Claus. That's the reason they teach you Santa Claus and tie it in with Christmas, because they want to teach you in these unnatural spirits, and that's all God is. It's an adult Santa Claus, and so. Anyhow, I don't know where we got around that answer to the question, but I believe in magic, and it's a lot of good magic and a lot of bad magic.
Oh yes, I can agree with that. Somebody wants to know. They said, if you came up with this, does that mean that? They said, how did you come up with this? If you're a doctor, weren't you educated stupid? And of course, I don't think they realize that you're not a doctorate from one of the universities. You bestowed yourself with that doctorate.
Yeah, I bestowed that on myself because academia has no program for that. They don't teach the time cube. So, in order to project myself as an equal to them, whether they're false doctorate, then I have to give myself a doctorate. And that they know nothing about the time cube. I'm the knowledge we want in the time cube. So that's the reason I put myself on their level by bestowing the doctorate on me. Yet, like if I go into religion, organize a religion, I'll be a minister, and I'll be the greatest minister. And if you compare regular religions with the cubic creation, then they'll understand that the cubic creation has a higher power.
All right. A few more questions probably we can have real quick, and then I have somebody here. They want to know, there are some conceptions of spirit time. It seems so much more smooth. A cube can only jumble, they claim, but doesn't time rather roll? Basically, they say y square over circle.
Why the cube over
the cube over the circle? Yes, that's what they want to know.
Well, because that divides the Earth into 4 quadrants, and each quadrant I got a big religious book, and the fellow wrote in there. He said if the 4 great religions organized for the same purpose, recognized that they were doing for the same purpose, that you would have the 4, you would have world harmony. And that's what the time cube would give you, is world harmony. If they recognize the same time cube, the same races, but see, by creating Christianity, you're creating you authorize the other religions, which is against Christianity, and that's the reason you have all this turmoil. You would be, if you had no religion, then that would cut out most of the wars, because most of the wars are based upon the religions.
Okay. Somebody wants to know if there are any set mathematical principles that exist within the time cube that differ from those currently taught.
Well, yeah, a lot of them. The 96, the number 96 would be, and the cubic principle, and the.
Yeah, I was thinking 96 immediately.
So a lot of I'm trying to think of where they determine the space of the stars. The Cartesian coordinates. It's only one corner. It comes on. There's an opposite corner to it, and the Cartesian coordinates is wrong. All our math and science is erroneous because they're based upon singularity.
Okay. Somebody else wants to know. don't you worry that separated communities,
Let
villages...
me ask answer one other thing on that.
Oh, sure.
Like the plus by, they say 1 times 1 equals plus 1 times plus 1 equals a plus 1. Now, let's say if plus 1 is American, and let's say a minus is a South American. So then they say minus 1 times a minus 1 equals a plus 1. That's saying like a South American equals a North American. That's erroneous math, because it should be an opposite.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, yes. Somebody else really quick wants to know, don't you worry that separated communities, i.e. villages, would stifle the free exchange of ideas, because only a small selection of ideas would be passed down from the elders? I think they're arguing, you're for variety. Would that hinder variety, I guess what they're saying?
Well, the villages and tribes, they brought us to this point, but I'm figuring the singularity is self-destructive. And so it's the people without academia or the government taught thing, they existed together for eons. Mm-hmm. And but since word has been printed and the word has become our God, not a man, but word is our God, then through word we have created all these false things, and we've created a word world, and it's all false, it's all fictitious.
Okay, I can. Now, so you mentioned that you don't believe in Darwin, and somebody mentions, the link from fish to land creatures. Somebody else wants to know, though, do you believe in life on other planets?
Well, it could be something exact, but I doubt it. I think if we should learn how to live here on this earth, then think about transporting it. Because if we ran against a cubic world that come here, they would have nothing to do with this world. They would be captured and put in cages. And so, in other words, you've got to learn how to live on Earth. Now, NASA's spending all these millions and millions of dollars trying to find the gallon of water on these foreign planets, and they got all these lakes and everything, like this lake I live on. They got 50 dump outlets into the lake. We're making sewage out of all our water. Mm-hmm. And so NASA's spending all that money going to another planet. And they don't even know how to live on Earth. They know nothing about the time cube.
I can certainly agree with that. There is a lot of effort being put into going elsewhere when we're not even really handling our own world very well.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's what they should be thinking about instead of these foreign to another planet. In other words, once you learn how to live here, then you examine that, compare that to what's on other planets. And most of the other planets are different speeds and different temperatures and everything, and people can't live on them. And so, but this has a perfect measurements of everything, but we're just destroying it because we're trying to trying to create and teach singularity.
Okay. Somebody has a very interesting question here. They want to know, what elements of popular culture do you think are in tune with the concept of the time cube, rather than being part of the conspiracy to educate us stupid? Basically, what parts of our culture actually are in sync with the time cube?
Well, I'm trying to think that not too many of them, because we are, as a singularity, we're not recognizing the opposite quarters and everything. We teach individual, but the only ones you got is the Indian tribes and maybe some villages elsewhere that followed it. It kind of adhered to the time cube thing, but we're totally in opposition almost to the natural element of nature.
Okay, I can understand. Yeah, I can see that. Somebody else wants to bring up, I think this brings us back to the village again. They want to know, in your opinion, what is the optimal size for a village created in accordance to the time cube? They suggest 96 members. Well,
it depends on, I guess, the environment, what kind of environment in it. I mean, if you're at the North Pole, you're going to have a small one. If you're a bigger place down in the heated area, then you can have a larger one, like some of the tribes. But you got to have a limitation on it, and through that, like I say, if you limited it to birth to somebody is 24. Then you're going to limit a lot of you're going to control them to a certain extent. But now if you go wild, like in China, I mean, now they've cut this down where you can only have about one child, I think it is.
Yes,
and so,
that's true.
And so, but like I say, the animals control their own population, but the humans have to. Now, China's controlling us, but we don't control it. We just, some little grammar school girl, she wants a baby like a doll. She just goes out and gets pregnant, and then the government supports it. And so you need to cut out if you're going to have it. When I was a kid, you know, if somebody got pregnant, they had to go out and have an abortion or something, get rid of it, because they else they'd been whoever had the baby would be mistreated in the community. They thought of bad, and so we don't have any kind of morality that we have to maintain. We just do what we want to.
Okay, and I can definitely understand what you said there about, you know, it varying with environment. That makes a lot of sense, of course, depending on where you are and what your resources are. It would make sense that would determine the size of the village.
Right. And most of the villages used to be, you know, they were mobile. They would stay and work in there, and then they'd go to another area and let this one regrow. It's kind of like the nature is kind of like the reservoir of human spirit. Like if you go start a farmstead and you go out and clear out a big area, cut down the trees and nature, and as the family increases and the nature diminishes, then the family moves back to town, and then nature comes back and takes over again. And so, but destroying nature is almost destroying children, because nature is a reservoir for human spirit.
All right. I have somebody here. He wants to know, if the cube is the perfect thing, why is our planet a sphere? Cubes have 8 corners, actually. He says 6 corners. Cubes have 8 corners, not 4. He wants to know what the other 4 corners are for, or is it really a Times Square? Basically, he's confused about whether it's a cube or a square. And you explained that earlier, actually, that you needed to be a cube to encompass the entire sphere.
Right, yeah, you have to be that. And now, actually, a dice-like cube has 8 tricorners. It equals 24. The same as 6 planes. 6 four-corner planes equal 24. It doesn't have 8 corners. It has 8 tricorners. But that's the volume, and the 3 dimensions of that is the volume. But actually, you're living in a cube, and inside between the sun, the darkness, and sun up and sundown, or like in a 4-corner classroom, if a teacher told you to go to a corner, you only have 4 choices. And so that's the 4 corners that you can stand people in, and they can occupy those 4 corners. But that's all you can occupy.
All
and
right.
so and the 4 sides and 4 corners above it, you have you have top and bottom, ceiling and floor. But the cube, they said the cube, this measurement of the cube is one of the most important measurements in the universe. Yet in the dictionary, they do harm to it by saying it has 6 sides where it doesn't.
Okay. Somebody brought up, that you talked about farms being bad, and they want to know how we would get our food. And are you proposing basically the old hunter and gather system? Because I know that somebody said that the primary reason that we have civilization is because of agriculture, and that's why cities were built and grew, because of course we had farms. They want to know, I guess, how would we get our food if we weren't farming?
Food without farming? Well, we used to grow our own food, but now, who owns your food today? A lot of times it's foreign governments own a lot of our food markets and everything. And if they need food in their country, they'll take the food out of this country and take over there. Like in St. Petersburg, there's a smokehouse there, and they advertise mackerel and mullet. And you go in and ask for mackerel, they say, we hadn't had that for years, so they get too much money for it in New York. So even though they caught locally, it's sold everywhere else. And a lot of the food over in the African countries, the farmers have, and the government takes it, and they'll sell it to a foreign country and hardly give the farmers anything for it.
So you're saying basically keep it local.
Yeah, you need a local food. If the food store is shut down, where are you going to get food? You have no place for farm anymore. And one fellow had to close his dairy down. He only had about 500 cattle because these big corporate conglomerates and everything were selling milk cheaper than he could with his 500, so he had to sell out. And so we are losing control of our food. One day we won't have any food left except people. We'll be practicing the cannibalism, because you don't have, I don't know where you would get food around the cities. If no food coming in there, you're going to start starving. And then we got kids starving all over the world today, babies, because they don't have food. But these big conglomerates and everything, they're taking over. And so recently they were trying to get seed to where you couldn't save the seed to replant. In other words, every year you'd be forced to buy a totally new seed to replant.
I believe I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but that's what big money and the big corporations are doing. They're inhuman. And they're talking about this Social Security, going into the private development, into the, other words, investing it. Well, you know who gets all that money? The CEOs of the company. They take the millions of dollars out of the companies and leave it dry. And anybody that's got their money and the stock in those companies, the savings are going to go to nothing. I mean, that's taking it out of the government hands, an excuse for them, and then you can blame the businesses that does it. And so that's a bad thing to turn that over to private industry. And most people couldn't save it anyhow because they need too much money to live. You can't save money when you need bread for your kid or medicine or something. And so you're not going to have any savings.
Okay.
And so they come to a time to retire and they got nothing.
Okay, yeah, I can see that definitely. I have a few more questions, and I think we'll wrap up. Right now, somebody says here, well, they want to bring back to what you said about the village before, and they say, would that village contain mostly family members? Would one find a mate outside of the community and then invite them in with some of their family members? And would that, make the village too large? And I think actually that probably would mean you'd have a village constantly in flux, but. Basically, they want to know, I guess, how would you have intercommunication, intermating between the villages in order to basically keep them at even level?
Well, yeah, that there should be separate villages, and like you would have 4 different race villages. The Indian tribes, you'd have the other villages, and the Asian village, and the Indian village, and the black, African, and white. You'd have like 4 different racial villages, but then when they integrate and everything, they would, but yeah, that has to be regulated and everything. I don't know how close we can come to it, but we need to know what's going to destroy us so we can try to avoid it again. If we know the overpopulation and all this singularity is going to destroy us, we should be setting something aside so that we will have some tribes that will continue life after the masses have their passing on.
Okay. Now I have somebody here. They say that you say we are in complete opposite of nature right now, and they say, what if we're supposed to be the opposite of nature?
Well, the nature is perpetual, but we are cutting it, we're destroying it, and that we'd be better off, like I say, without the environmental tokenism that we have today. But we're destroying all our water, and I see the way they're tearing down a lot of the dams now so the salmon and the fish can swim back up and spawn and so forth. And so that's going to affect everything. But like in Arizona, you got so much water going to those gambling joints and waterfalls and everything out there. They're taking over all the water in the area from all the farmers and everything. And again, if they get that nuclear waste thing going out there, you could have leakage and radiate the water, and all the state of Arizona would have no water. All of it would be poison, radiation.
That would be bad, yes.
Yeah, and so, but that's what, to me, that radiation, that nuclear waste, you put a monument to academia, because that's all created by academia.
Okay. We're going to take a couple more questions, then we're going to wrap up. As I said, one person wants to know, they remember that the Star Wars program Reagan had. He wanted to put a space station into orbit. They said to shoot missiles. I think it was to shoot missiles down. Now, what do you? I guess I want to know what you think about that. What about space stations in general? I remember you said that
they're unnatural, and you can't have one exist unless it's supported by a nation, Earth. You can't have one out there. You got to have a Earth base for it, or else it can't. All the metal and everything out there, you can't have it. And I think if you stayed in one of them too long, I tell you, you lose the ability to walk and everything. Probably lose your legs.
That is true. I understand that you do atrophy. Because
if you don't, like the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose them.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all that, people can't live out there for a long time. You bring people in here after they've been out there 6 months or something, they can hardly walk. And so it changes. It's really not conducive nature. I mean, here we got trees and water and fish and animals and everything. What the heck you got out there? You got another stupid human with you.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, and it is. You are right that we aren't. It is inimical to us. I mean, it's a vacuum. There is the lack of gravity, of course. A lot of reasons why we couldn't actually survive in space without the gravity and everything.
And one little stone come out there and hit it or something and demolish it. And it's all going to deteriorate. What's going to maintain it? You don't have no metal manufacturing plants out there. You can't and everything you have would deteriorate out there. And so it's NASA and everything is like a big old, I'm trying to think, it's Tinker Toy set. That's what NASA is. It's all Tinker Toy, big old Tinker Toy set, expensive. And it doesn't have that much value out there because people can't live out there.
Okay. I think we're going to take 2 more questions, and that'll be it from them. I actually have 2 good questions here. One person wants to know, is the ideal building the same number of stories tall as rooms wide and deep, with every room a cube? Basically, cubes within cubes.
Well, yeah, everything, like a basketball game, is cubic in nature. It has a top and bottom, and they're 4 quarters, and the moon has 4 quarters it goes through. Everything has all these cubes. Everything is cubic. Everything is cubic. Even a pencil dot on a piece of paper has a top and bottom, front, back, and 2 sides.
Like a basketball game.
Yeah. Now take your flag. On one side of the flag, you got these stars on one corner. Opposite side, they got another corner. So actually, your flag has 2 opposites with a 0 value.
Okay. I can see it. Yeah.
And now you can draw a bunch of arrows. Draw a circle on a piece of paper with arrows pointing to the right. Look at it through the light from the back side, and they go in the opposite direction. They cancel out.
All right. Well, I have one last question. I think it's a good one to end on, actually. I have a person here. She wants to know if you could give a teenager growing up today one piece of advice, what would it be?
To evaluate the time cube, the cubic creation.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the key. That's the most powerful social scientific discovery of humanity. It's cubic creation, not singularity, but cubic.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
Well, I appreciate the hearing, and I hope they understand it. Most people I talk to do understand it.
I think they definitely got the message. I think they did from what I'm reading.
And I think we need to talk to people more about it. I don't think they'll ever put it back in the Bible. I think it's too powerful. It's in universities all over the world. They just haven't got the freedom to discuss it and debate it. But I think as time goes by, it's going to be the students are going to get more forceful and demand more time cube debate and discussion.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ray, for coming on my program. For those of you, would you like to tell them again about your lecture in 5 days?
Sir, what?
Would you like to tell them, remind them about your lecture in 5 days, in case anyone wants to come see it?
Oh yeah. I'll be lecturing at the Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Georgia, on the 14th at 7:00, and they have a 250-seat room there. I think it'll be overfilled because we had a 500 seat filled at the MIT, and I think more and more people. We have to get these debates and things going in more universities all over the world. And I appreciate y'all listening, and I hope you understand it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much again, sir. You have a very good day and a very good night.
Yeah, thank you very much, David.
And good luck on your lecture.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Bye bye. sorry, I needed to do that. Oh, my. That was Gene Ray. Oh, yes. There we go. Brian, if you're listening, I am now out of your Skype. I would like to thank Brian for letting me use his Skype, so I was able to do this, and a Dead Heart for making the initial contact and setting this all up. Without either of them, this never would have happened. Whether or not you're for or against that, I don't know, but this never would have happened without their help. Thank you both very much. And I don't think I'm going to stop laughing for a long time. But, you know, now keep in mind, please, that not all things that were said today, not all things that were said today, of course, are views of the station. As a matter of fact, the vast majority are not views of the station or the DJ. I do apologize for the various racial and homophobic comments that were made by Mr. Ray. But I do hope that you all know more about the Time Cube for the future. I pretty much have quite a bit of a show left here. If anyone wants to come on the air and say what they have to say, if anyone wants to come on Skype, I'll get on my normal Skype, and they can come on board if they want. And I have music. I don't even. You'll hear it eventually. That's my wife. And yeah, I'm wow. I have to admit that was one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had, without a doubt. No, not really, but yes, so there I am. And I can't even tell whose I am anymore here. That was just amazing. I'm very much hoping that somebody taped that, because I could not possibly do that again. I really couldn't. But I'm probably going to have to, because I understand that A Dead Heart is looking into getting Alex Chu on next. And yes, that's right. Don Bartle points out that I could have an interview with my father, because he wants to hear fish speak. My father's a fish, didn't you know, love? Gene Ray says so. My father's a fish. Yes. My wife couldn't hear all this. She's going to have to hear this after the fact, unfortunately. Yeah, I'll download a copy. Don't worry. 305 is coming on. You know, and I have to say, 96 is my new favorite number. Let me tell you. And yes, I think I do get an honorary BA or BS in Cubism. Oh, wow. Oh, Brian wants to come out of here. I love this. I'm going to get a bunch of DJs on Skype real quick, and they could laugh. They could talk for a while, because I'm beyond talking at the moment. And, yeah, I know several people were recording this, thankfully. But I don't see anybody on Skype right now. You all should be there. Oh, wait a minute. It just occurred to me. I don't know 305 Skype at the moment. 305, tell me your Skype. And, by the way, darn all of you who were sending me the most hilarious questions to ask him and threatening to make me laugh, because it was very difficult, believe me. Wow. You know, you guys were sending me some of the worst stuff, and it was difficult to control. For instance, this one from Lauren was, ask Mr. Ray if the gay people are conspiring against him to build a pink time triangle. And I was so tempted, but I did not ask that. I was tempted to ask a lot of things, but I did not ask them. Here you go, Inari. Inari? Of course, I can't invite you to conference. I have to call you first. Ring, 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 ring. Inari phone. Inari. Inari? Inari. Whoa. I don't hear Inari. Inari, where are you? Have I lost Inari? Inari, you're not functioning. Well, whoa. Fix your mic. Your mic is bad right now. Bad mic.
How so bad?
What
do I need to fix?
We can actually hear you for once. Wow.
Yeah, this computer's a lot louder, and it was close to my mouth because it's moved there for...
The computer was close to your mouth.
The microphone was, because it's moved there because my other computer makes me quiet.
Turn it down just a little bit.
Oh.
And
yeah, I got killed here.
You're lucky you weren't here for the whole thing and trying to be on the air.
No, I meant her voice, like right when I got on the Skype, blowing my eardrums. But
well, I can turn down my end a little bit. There we go. Maybe that'll help a bit.
Already pretty down.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I could move it farther away.
I need to re-stupid myself. I am cracking up. That's right. I am sorry. I just could not. Oh, and yes, Cartman 69130, who almost has a 96 in his number, but doesn't quite, sent me 96 boxed wines. And Zotalo sent me 96 meat. And, you know, 96. That is my new number right now, I swear. You know.
So the lovely Click has promised me that some of her frat brothers are going to go crowbar Gene Ray for me when he goes down to speak at Georgia Tech.
They're going to what?
Crowbar Gene Ray for me
Crowbar.
when he speaks at Georgia Tech.
Crowbar?
Yes.
Why are you going to crowbar Gene Ray? He's born in 1927. The guy's ancient. Don't do that to him.
He's harmless.
He's harmless. Well, I don't know he's harmless, but he's
a dirty old racist and homophobe. I don't like that.
Well, that's true. Although
he's a sign of his times. He's completely lost.
I don't think he's a sign of any times. I don't know what times he lives in, to be honest.
I think
past, present, and future. What do you
past? Well, of course. Actually, yes, he's living in
the entire scope of evolution.
He does. He's living in 4 times. He's in all times at once. And he's been reincarnated who knows how many times. We can say times a few more times.
Yeah, I have an issue with that reincarnation thing.
Oh, you have an issue?
I have an issue.
Is that all you have an issue with? The reincarnation thing?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, if you think about it, there's how many people on the planet now? Like 6.6 billion? Something like that?
Yeah, I know. It's the whole... Well, it's because we're killing all the animals.
The new soul question,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
we're killing all the animals, so we're coming back as humans.
No, but there wasn't even... I mean, unless you count insects, but there's not even that many,
actually, people noticed that it's amazing how well Mr. Ray managed to Skype with Mike and everything. He didn't. That was actually me using Skype out to call him on his personal phone.
It sounded good, though. It worked out
Yay,
well.
Skype out.
Yeah, I should save all the weird questions I've been asked.
Yeah, you should, so we can answer them now.
Yes, we should try and answer the rest of these questions.
We should try and answer the rest of the questions? I don't know. Some of the questions are...
Just pretend to answer it like he would.
Are going to send me into paroxysms.
Good.
Yeah.
Let me...
deserve it for having that man on air.
Oh, that's cold.
Oh. I thought paroxysms were good. Is that like warm, tingly?
Oh, there's Brian. We have room for Brian. There's always room for Brian, right?
Right.
I'm kind of full, but okay.
There's always room for Brian in the cube. And then we'd have
We
four.
need
We would have the
Sam.
perfect DJ set. We'd have four of us.
We are a DJ
Oh my God.
Cube.
We
We
would
need
have the perfect...
another female, though. Is Brian a girl?
Oh, that's right, because he's not an opposite. We can pretend Brian's a girl.
Okay.
We'll tell him that when he
make
gets on the air.
pretend to be a girl himself.
We'll we'll tell him that when he gets on the air. Brian, you're now a girl. So we got a cube.
Sam's pretty
We
enough
cut
to be a
Bill
girl.
Johnson.
Maybe Sam's. Maybe. No, Brian, because he's the one. He's the odd one out. I didn't say it. I already said it.
So Brian will be our pretty princess.
Yeah, I got sent.
Why would you think I would take that position?
Because you're my bitch.
I don't know if I asked the last part.
Yeah. Just what I like to do is be a bitch to someone 5 years younger than me.
I don't know if I asked the last part of the magic question, but somebody did ask me. What was it? Where was that? That bastard. Somebody asked me. Hold on. Where is that? They asked me, do you believe Mr. Ray, do you, Mr. Ray, believe in a secret society or a group of people that are working behind the scenes controlling society? Where is another one? They asked me.
It's called the Staff of
Oh,
Radio KOL.
Apocalypse Throb. Ask him if he has anything to say about Magic the Gathering and how it could work to stop the evil spirit of New Wave.
Well, they are all cubes, all the cards.
All the cards? No, they're not. They're rectangles.
They have,
They're wannabe cubes.
Well, but they have opposite corners.
They're kind of opposite, but they're not at right angles. And I don't know if
They
he said
are,
you have to
dude.
be at right angles. They're not right.
But
But
he's still upset that
They're
you didn't ask Ray
tri-corners.
to sing
They
me
have
a
to have
song.
tri-corners.
I guess maybe.
What?
Did we get Brian?
What?
Are you there, Brian? You have to be a girl because we don't. Otherwise, we don't have the perfect four-cornered DJ cube.
And you have to be 69 years old, or 96 years old.
You can be. I don't know. Well,
You also have to be a black female, and either PVA or Sam has to be a black
And a midget and a Jew.
oh, yeah. Well, I'm a parent, but we don't have any grandparents here or any great-grandparents. I like how great-grandparents are the fourth corner because obviously everybody lives to be a great-grandparent, right?
I was going to say, we could Skype in my grandma.
I like that. Hey, everybody,
Skype,
who wants to Skype 305's grandma?
I got Skype out, so I can do that.
We'd have to use Skype out, yeah.
We'd have to Skype out his grandma, okay.
Mommy, my mother's staring at me funny.
Is that
Oh,
a new
my.
thing?
No, you're not. Not really.
Yes, of course, I need one black DJ, one white DJ, one brown DJ, one Asian DJ, 2 girls, 2 guys, and I'd cover all 4 corners of the cubic globe.
I'll be the Asian one because
I
Asian
wonder
people
there are
are
only
cool.
3 different colors of people.
4. I said 4.
Okay, 4. Same thing.
That's according to Gene Ray.
Yeah, but I mean, it's completely absurd to try and. That's one of the things I wanted to ask him about was how can you classify people into because that's
Oh
saying
my
that
God!
that's saying there are 4 archetypes and there are distinct characteristics of that type, and if you don't have that characteristic, then you are not of that type.
Oh
So
my!
PVA.
Oh my God!
PVA.
What?
Wait.
My mother says if you want to talk to her, she's a grandma, but she's not really. She's pretending to be.
What are
She's
you
a
on my?
step grandma.
IMs. Wow.
What's going on?
Nice. Nice.
What's going on?
You just got an
Is
IM.
it equitable?
What?
Is it equitable?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Well, go, man, go.
Go see what. Wow.
That's
What's
awesome.
going on?
And Ari, you have to check your IMs.
I don't have any IM.
You got an IM.
Don't lie.
You do have an
On
IM.
AOL?
On
Messenger?
AIM. Yes, your IM.
I turned off AIM, so there's no way you sent me an instant message.
What?
Then quit asking
But I just
over
sent
and
you one.
over. when
You
just
apparently
said
didn't
spam.
because I'm not logged on because I closed the program a couple minutes ago.
It said you're idle.
Oh, then it's sitting to my computer upstairs.
Oh. Well, go check your IM. We'll wait.
Run, child.
I don't want to get up from my chair.
I don't know. I have to look. I have.
Easiest person in the entire world, aren't you?
That is so.
Why can't you, blue message it to me?
Why? You get too long to blue message.
Then green message. Duh.
Well, I could green message her, I guess, but if I felt like it.
Apparently.
Too high and mighty to use females, TVA?
No, but I'm just too...
Are they not cubic enough for you?
Yeah, they're not too cubic enough for me. I think they should be more cubic. Actually.
Why is not being enough
And have you noticed that cubic rhymes
I feel the cube leaving.
And have you noticed that cubic rhymes with cubic?
You know the data input box is cubic. But
Well, that's true. The data
two
input
dimensions
box
instead of 3.
is cubic, in a way. Well, it's as cubic as you can get on the net.
Yeah.
Think about that for a moment. Somebody just told me they made a special song for Jean Ray, and that scares me.
Can we play Time Warp now?
Can we play Time Warp? That might not be a bad idea. I'm going to put this in my... I'm going to put this in my case. It is not equipable, and that's okay, because it's awesome anyhow.
I got to see this.
I'm going to put it in my case.
Can I who is you now to just see it?
In a moment, I'm still putting it in my case.
Well, we can who is you now, and then open your case.
Oh,
later.
well, yeah, you could do that. You could do that. There we go. It's in my case. It's in my case, and I gotta take everything else out of my case. Because nothing else can be in my case now. No. Except maybe maybe 96 of a few things. Go ahead and take a look, though. It's under S.
Okay, and I
Hold on.
It's under
Welcome
S,
back, Brian.
and it is the most awesome thing in the world. It officially is the most awesome thing in the world, and it's going to be... I'm taking everything else out of my damn case because I just had tons of stuff in there before, and... How do you confuse Jean Ray, put him in a round room, and ask him to put the time cube in the corner of singularity of educated stupids? That's what Zolfalo says.
Well, the tri-corner, not the corner.
The tri-corner.
TVA?
Yes?
Why didn't you get Jean Ray to sing me a song? If you could have gotten Jean Ray to sing Time Warp...
I was not even going to try to get Jean Ray to sing.
Dude, how is he supposed to conduct a serious interview?
No, I wanted
How
to...
is he
What, Mother?
What, Mother? 305 says, when were you her mother?
I'm sorry, my mother's in the room, too.
But she can't be in the room because then we have a 5-sided thing.
But she's not on Skype, so it doesn't count.
Oh.
But I can hear her talking.
Okay. But you might be able to hear my wife talking, too, and, you know, and then we're really in trouble.
Prima, say something in the chat, because my who is isn't working for you, so I can just click on your name.
Something.
Are you having spaces between his names?
You don't need spaces for who is. Something in chat.
There, thank you.
Proves that this certificate proves that the recipient was educated stupid at Stupid University. Rest assured that he has the kind of stupid education only evil educators can provide.
Yeah.
That is so
nice.
awesome. I mean, that is really, truly awesome.
I'm glad to be stupid at this morning.
It's Stupid University diploma. Cannot be traded, cannot be discarded. And you know, I am honored because this is my graduation day, and I don't even have I need a cap to toss. Bring me a cap to toss. I need a cap. Bring me a cap now. I need a cap to toss.
My chat is running stupid. It's not running stupid.
Thank you. I have a cap to toss. Here, have a cap. Well, I'll toss it at you. Oh, I'm sorry, but I mistook you for a cube. Oh, nice shot. Look at that. Right
You better
there.
be processing.
I'm processing.
Okay, now reset.
Is PVA kind of breaking up a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. But anyhow, I think we should play a Triangle Man, because I want to know what he thought about a triangle.
The only thing I can hear over my headphones is Dancing Queen, which is on TV for some reason.
Triangle Man. I'll play. Oh, you're talking about Particle Man.
Yeah, but someone asked
Could
what he
Triangle
thought
Man
about
and-
Triangle Man fighting Particle Man.
Triangle
And I
Man
wanted to-
fighting Particle Man, and we should get the Time Warp
and
in there.
Triangle winning.
Is there a Cube Man?
No.
I have the regular Time Warp.
Triangle Man is a tri-corner in the cubic, they might be giants, universe. Because
Exactly.
They Might Be Giants is four words.
And I have Time Warp. I have the Chipmunks Time Warp and the regular one.
Not the Chipmunks.
Not the Chipmunks.
Not the no more
Yes,
Chipmunks.
Chipmunks.
No more Banana Bone. No
I can-
Chipmunks.
What about the
Huh?
punk cover version?
No, I don't have Time After Time. But yes,
Punk
here we
works
are.
for me.
I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit so we can all dance to it, because I'm not going to turn off my mic right now. Here is Particle Man and Time Warp in honor of Jean Ray.
Or in mockery of.
No, in appreciation of.
Appreciation of.